All right, guys, we're going to go over some drum editing. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan say slow-mo.
Slow-mo, brother.
All right, guys, so yeah, here's our video. So the first thing you got to do for me, okay, so I'm just going to go through kind of a basic thing. These drums are, let's say, tracked. Before I do any kind of editing, comping, any of that stuff, I always do save session as drums. We'll just call it edit. Reason being, a couple of things. One, it tracks your work, especially if you have multiple people working in the studio. You can go, oh, when did we track bass, or even kind of for sometimes finding things or fixing things that you wanted to fix from the tracking. It also, if you've got clients that are hourly, in a sense, I guess it kind of timestamps your work. We don't really do that anymore, but that used to be back in the day. And then it also just, yeah, oh, in case you do a big dork move and you blow stuff up. And, you know, when I especially when I'm like bringing in interns or teaching people from scratch, I tell them, this is not because you're new. Everybody does it. I do it. You do it all the time, because sometimes you just accidentally delete something, you lose track of something, and then you can always just get out of it and restart. Especially on drum editing or anything where it's very kind of has the potential to be somewhat destructive. Always do save session as, so we've called it drums edit. Now, here's the drum. We're gonna try to make this like about 10 minutes. It's gonna be quickety quick. I'm not gonna do the whole thing. So basically, we've got drum takes. So we've got 02, we've got 01, and we've got the first take, which is 0. So, and basically, this is already pretty much comped. We're good. The drummer comped it and he sent it to me. But the way I comp pretty much everything, especially like drums and vocals, I like to listen through a little bit and I figure out kind of, usually there's one take that just feels better. And then I'll usually put that on my comp and then I'll go through it. And then if I hear something weird, I'll try to cut it in. Depending on how good the drummer is, if the drummer is a real professional studio musician, then when he's doing his takes or he's doing punches, he's conscious of what cymbals he's on, because if he's riding on this 18-inch crash over here on one take, but now on this one he's on the 16 over here, you can't really chop that together. It's going to be like, you know, you're going to hear it. Even if it's like, even if he hits the cymbals here and then he starts playing and you want to cut it on that snare and you want to put another take on, if he did these cymbals on that one, it'd be like you'll hear that shift in pitch because of the cymbals, because they kind of override everything. So be real conscious of that when you're tracking the drums too. That's why you always want the drummers to play into punches. But anyway, so what I would do is, let's just say for argument's sake, I go through these takes and I like take 2, and now I'm listening through it. What I would do first is I would take 2, I would copy it, and I would put this onto, because they all go in a group, as you can see. I'm going to take just the kick and just call it comp. And then I know that whole playlist is comp. And then I paste it. So now I've got take 2 on a separate playlist. Now that I'm going to start to, you know, get funky with it and chop it up a little bit. Don't chop it up from the take. Trust me, don't chop it up from the take. Always make a comp track for guitars, bass, vocals, everything. So now I'm listening, okay? I like it. Okay, so let's just say I said, oh, I wish that he had hit the kick drum harder here, right? So, and I listen to that first take. That's a little better. And I listen to the second take. Okay, I like that one. I'm going to take that now, highlight that, okay? Apple C, and then I click over to my comp track, Apple V, and I listen to how it cuts in. So the little tempo weirdness there. So then you try to finesse it in. Let's see. At this point, I wouldn't be doing crossfades. I'm just going to be seeing what he jumped on that Apache a little bit there, which that probably would be fine once this is beat detected. So let's see. We'll take a listen to it. That one's a little later. Again, once it's beat detected, it'll rifle right in. Yeah, okay, so let's just say I like that. And then you would just go through the whole song and then listen back to it. Traditionally, if I had the scratch track in here at this point, it would be very, very low just for arrangement. But I really want to be hearing these drums. And usually at this point, I'm still going against the click. So that would be how I would basically comp it. All right, so now we're going to get the beat detective. So let's just say this is now our finished comp, okay? We're not going to mess with the back end of the song. I did a save session as, so let's just say this is the whole song. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll take the drums, I put him, this is for me, I put him in medium, okay? That was weird. That was a weird sound. I'll go into grid mode, okay? And what I will do at this point is I will then ungroup the drums. And I'm gonna highlight, oh, I see what happened. My bad, sorry for that. Okay, I'll ungroup the drums. Let me make sure those drums are what they say they are. Yep, oh no, they aren't. Whoa, what's going on? Oh, I know what happened. Hold on. Operator error. Drummers. Beautiful, okay, so. All right, okay, so now I'll ungroup the drums and I start from 0. I don't comp in slip mode and I don't comp from like a second track, you know, second beat or third beat or whatever, or the E-anda. I'll go from, so if the song, usually the song starts, I'll usually start a bar before and then I'll go a bar after, let's just say. So that would be, that's now a complete bar from front to back. And there it is. And I've got my kick in, and then I hit the shift, and I do snare top, and then depending if it's a real hi-hatty thing, I'll a lot of times do the hi-hat. If there's toms, sometimes I'll do the toms. Sometimes I leave them out and I'll do them manually really quick. A lot of times this is all I do, is kick in, right, because it's the closest thing to the kick. It's going to be more accurate than kick out. Snare top, never snare bottom. And then I'll do hi-hat. And that usually gets me like the kick. And I'll do toms if it's just a hit here or there. I don't know. I feel it out. And then sometimes if it goes to the bridge, it's a big ride, and I've got the ride mic on there, and it's a decent, you know, it's a decent recording of it. I will do the ride too, because the ride is really important. And that's what I want to tell you guys about this. A lot of times where you can hear when somebody didn't necessarily maybe do a great job on beat detect is if they're like beat detecting quarter notes, but they're riding on eighths. And then you can feel these like little, you know, variants in the groove on the hi-hat or the ride, or if the ride's, let's say 16ths and it's really quick, you've got to get like, it's like, if you're going to change the perspective of where the drums sit, right? If you're going to grid the kick and snare, let's just say, you've got to get the cymbals in too, because they're going to really feel weird once you line up kick and snare if you don't get them in. So for this, we're just going to do, because I think this is hi-hat. Let me hear it. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to go off of hi-hat, kick and snare. We're going to go Apple 8. We're going to go cap. Oh, wait a second. What did I just... Oh, yeah, we're going to do capture selected. Whoa. We're going to do analyze. Hey, look at that. And then I'll kind of look at it, and you can scroll down. And what I want to do is I want to have the beat detect to the lowest, for me, the lowest possible sensitivity and still getting all the primary things, which it looks good. That looks good. You'll see If you do too much, if you take the sensitivity and put it to 100, it's picking up every little sound, which you don't want. Then you're going to just chop this thing and it's just going to be awful. So I'll chop it till, like, see, I think I'm getting, yeah, that's good. That's good. And one or two may, yeah, that gets, there's a little bit of some picking up this sound in here. So you see it right here. You can see it when I go up above 28. That's grabbing now off of nothing. So I'll go back. We'll do this at 28. We're going to analyze these 3 tracks: kick in, snare top, hi-hat, and we're going to separate them. No, jeez, what a demo. I'm going to... Okay, I can do this. I don't do this as much as I used to. Now that oh my God, what kind of a demo is this? Now that I've analyzed them and I've got them all set up, then I regroup it. Now I click it, and now the whole drum set is based off of that that processing or that analyzation. And now with them all together, I now separate them. And now I go to clip conform, and I conform them. And we're going to listen to some weird choppy drums. You can hear the little gaps. Yeah, and you'll hear sometimes things feel a little weird. You got to go in manually. Sometimes if he hits the snare drum really articulately, more so than the other one, even though it's technically in time, it sounds ahead, and you kind of can nudge it. And same thing with kick. Sometimes if he hits the kick more pillowy, it'll feel more back. So you got to kind of go from there. Then I will go to edit smoothing. I fill in crossfade. I change this to 1 millisecond, and we go padow. And there it is. Still with the click. Oh, yeah. Okay, beautiful. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that click track, and let me make sure Camtasia is recording. Yeah, Camtasia doesn't show you that it's recording. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's recording. Okay, so now that I've listened through the whole song, I'm not going to go into how to nudge stuff. You know, if one kick is slightly ahead and it gets pushed to the next eighth note, you have to then grab usually the whole song from that kick all the way to the end and nudge it all forward 240. You can do that with Option H, I think it's called. Option H. Yeah, and then you'd go like this. You'd go 240, and it would be 240 later or 240 earlier. And then that would, but then you would actually grab the whole song all the way out and then move, because once one gets off, a lot of times it pulls the whole song that way. And it sounds complicated. It's very easy. Once you get the hang of it, it's no big deal. Now we're going to listen through this with no click track, and we're going to listen in slip mode, because we were in grid mode, now we're in slip mode, to listen for pops and clicks. And usually here, I listen to it loud, no click track, no scratch track, and nobody in the studio can say a word. It's like, if you want to talk on your phone, go sit in your car. And this is where I'm really good at this. I have such a good ear for this. Some people are like, I don't know, I don't hear anything. And I'm like, oh, I hear it. That wasn't one really, but... The hi-hat's a little off right there. It's a little rushed right in here. Right there. Let's get you out of the way. Let's see what's going on. It's weird. This is, and then I'll group it. And then I go Apple XV. That cuts it out, and it cuts, Apple X cuts it, and Apple V pastes it back on. So it's like a 3-finger, it's ring finger. It's Apple XV, and it goes, and it's done. It takes a split second. You always want to make sure you you take it off this, you remove from the session and put it back on before you start nudging it, because you can actually, if it's attached, you'll drag the hole. Trust me, I know that route. Okay, so this felt, what did it feel? A little ahead? Did it feel a little ahead? Not really. It's just weird feeling. So I'm gonna mess with it for a second if I can get something happening. If not, I'm gonna move on. I like that better, so we'll go with that. And a lot of times you just do your best with it, and then you can always cut stuff around later. I'll crossfade this, see if that works. Yeah, I'll buy that. And basically, we're listening for caught in the crossfire. We're looking for transients caught in the crossfades, kind of like Stevie Wonder or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Literally nothing caught in there. You'll hear it. It's like a tick. Yeah, that was really good. It depends on how the drummer plays. The more he's on the grid, the easier this is. If he's really off the grid, what's going to happen is, you know what I'll do? I'll make one bad, and then you can hear it. So then that would be like if, let's say, jeez, what kind of demo is this? No, it wouldn't be that, would it? No, I don't know. All right, I don't know how really to. Basically, what happens is you'll be playing along and you hear, and a lot of times it's like the snare just touching. You know, it's just the tip of, it's just the beginning of that transient. And what happens is, so let's go to a snare hit. Where's the snare hit? Right. So here's a snare hit. Right here. This dude. The snare will have been so ahead that even when the snare's cut here, and then there's the crossfade, you'll see a little transient in the crossfade, and that's where you have to nudge the crossfade to left or right. I think usually it's kind of to the left to get out of the crossfade, get the transient out of the crossfade. So anyway, that's a little bit of how beat detect. I think we used to call that collection mode. I don't really know though. I don't know if that's what it's called, but trust me, this is so much better than highlighting all the drums and doing beat detective. You'll see this is way more efficient, and it sounds a lot better. It's going to be a lot tighter because you don't want it to be triggering off of distant mics, right? Kick in, snare top. There's your peanut butter and jelly. Hi-hat ride, you know, there's your side of potatoes au gratin. And then toms, that's dessert. And if you can get toms, great. You can do them manually. But mainly it's like kick, snare, hi-hat ride. And unless it's like, you know, some like Danny Carey, you know, you can still get them in there, but sometimes you can just do that little section. The less things that you analyze initially in beat detective, I think the better beat detect is. And also you got to be careful. Beat detect starts to get off the grid. You know, you'll be playing along and all of a sudden it feels weird, and then you highlight it and you'll see everything's nudging off. So I don't know if it's just a glitch in the matrix. So just use your ear, use your eyes, whatever. All right, I'll show you a little quick thing with auto align, what a program this is. We're gonna start with snare top. All right, so I'm back. Sorry about that. I was having a bit of a brain. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. Okay, so anyway, I've got auto align on my snare top, and it's set. And I set this kind of in a good spot. And now what I do is I come to my snare bottom, which now is receiving one. So now this is receiving my snare top, and I'll put it in detect mode for delay and polarity. You see it's reading it. It's phase aligning it. I don't know, it's some sort of voodoo in it. There it is. Now it's lined up. So now snare top and bottom are set. Now I would go to my overhead. My overhead is going to be, so it's snare top to snare bottom. You don't auto align snare top because it's what it's going off of, but you have to have the auto align on it, sending to 1. Then snare bottom receives 1. Now also overheads receive 1. That's the main phase. Everything goes from there. So you'll see now auto align is now this is my overs, and it is receiving 1 again, same thing, and I'll detect, and see now it's detecting. Now that's really nice. Now from overs, we go and we auto align off of overs. So now we're going to auto align the ride to overs. You can see it's received 2, and then we'll detect that. This is ride. You're not going to hear much going on here. Okay, but it's nice. And then here's hi-hat. So here's hi-hat again. This is going to be receiving 2. So this is now auto-aligning to the overs. And we're going to detect delay and polarity. There you go. So now, I don't do rooms. Now, if you go back to overs, you'll see overs is sending 2, right? And then ride is receiving 2. Hi-hat is receiving 2, and kick in is receiving 2. And we're going to get kick in on here. And we're going to detect delay and polarity. And you can feel it bones up. These are pretty good. Now, kick in is sending to 3, which now this is kick out. So kick out is receiving 3. So kick out is receiving from kick in. And I got it a little louder. And then you do detect delay and polarity. I'll also do the toms. You can loop a little tom section for it, you know, and do each tom one at a time. I think the toms, let's see, hold on. There's kick in. And then toms receive off of 2 also. The toms receive off of the overs. And I don't do the rooms. I mean, sometimes if somebody has a really small drum room and they're right up on it, but usually they're far enough away that phase doesn't matter, and it sounds good. And there is with auto align. And beat detected, comped. Yeah, so that's a little quick one. You have any questions, you can comment or you can contact me. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. Things are happening. I'm working on some new projects, not just for the studio, but with videos and some different companies. So it's gonna be fun, man. It's like I feel like I've got an injection in my career. I feel reinvigorated. It's good to be in Nashville. And that's it. Like and subscribe. And yeah, peace out.